process. Disenfranchising them will not serve the cause of democracy. In the course of our preparing for harmonization, we discovered that those two issues had actually been taken care by Section 63 of the Electoral Bill. What is the provision of this Section 63? 63 provides that election must be concluded at polling units, result must be announced, must be recorded on the electoral form prescribed by the commission, at the same time must be signed by presiding officer and countersigned by agent where applicable. It is at that point, by subsection 5 of that Section 3, that the result can be either transferred or transmitted. That addressed the two concerns that was our issue when we passed the amendment to Section 52(3). So it addressed the question of there is a paper trail now to ensure that there will be a trail of result at the polling unit. At the same time, subsection 6 of Section 3 of the bill provide for criminal sanction against a presiding officer transmitting what is not authentic and what has not been declared the polling unit. It's upon that review that our decision is now made to subject Section 52 of the Act on Electronic Voting, Electoral Commission, subject to Section 3 of the bill, and that was what was passed at the harmonization meeting. So it is a question of when you have a mischief and you have a lacuna and you have been able to see adequate safeguard to that lacuna. Nobody in his right senses will say Nigerian legislators should not be concerned about issue of possible hacking of election results or about issue of disenfranchisement, which are the two main concerns that inform the initial propositions.
Well,
and you can also now come.
Those all been settled
those
now
issues have been in the new bill. So what they have done is that in Section 52, we have adopted the fashion of the House, but then with making it subject to Section 3 of the bill, which provides that election must be concluded and results must be announced. My understanding of what INEC did, and I'm happy that Mr. Fisoko is here, in Edo and the Ondo election, was that results were transmitted after they might have been declared at the polling units. It's different from where you have automatic transmission of results, whereby as you are voting, it's getting populated in a particular server.
Is that going to be the case?
I'll give you a...
Just a moment. Is that going to be the case, Mr. Okoye? Is that what the Electoral Act amendment process looks like? Because what I perceive in the draft is the result is going to be transmitted. That's after it's been announced.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's after it's been announced. The pyramid, election is the pyramid. Let me explain to you. The base of that pyramid is the polling units. Every other thing that happens after the polling unit is actually arithmetic computation or calculation. But then, in order to have transparency of the process and ensure that there is no manipulation at the collation level, when you do transmission immediately after result had been done at the polling unit level, you are not changing any results, but you are ensuring that you have seamless collation at the ward level, at the local government level, and at the collation level, which is what INEC did in Edo and did in Ondo State. So that even if you have if you are technologically savvy, you will be able to know in a matter of hours, maybe before 4 p.m. or 6 p.m., what the outlook of the total result will be in that constituency. But this is different from what happened in some jurisdiction. I monitor election in Venezuela, for instance, whereby as you are voting, the votes get populated in the central database. But then even in that place, there is a provision in their law that there must be paper audits of a proportion of polling units in an area to ensure the integrity of what has been done, or what has been done.
So, Senator, let me say, Senator, you are a representative of the people, and you get the feeling of whether people are happy or not. A lot of Nigerians, perhaps, may be happy with you and your colleagues with what looks like the backtrack and the, in quote, being born again, that some people said some of the senators saw the light. And they are fixing, they're repairing what Nigerians were not happy about. But tell us, how far, what's the update? What can you tell us about the harmonization process?
First and foremost, I must first correct impression. When people talk in relation to National Assembly and you talk of Nigerians, the National Assembly is peopled by the only authentic elected representative of Nigerians. If there's any assembly, any group of people that can speak and speak by law, by constitution on behalf of Nigeria is the National Assembly. So you cannot, juxtapose an elected representative no matter how informed their opinion is about, to juxtapose it as the basis of representation. The basis of democracy is the legislative arm. So when National Assembly speak, Nigerians are speaking and nothing else. So I think that impression need to first be corrected.
Is in representative
yes,
democracy?
I'm Dr. Ajibola Basiru, but I'm not speaking in National Assembly as Dr. Ajibola Basiru. I'm speaking as an elected representative of Osun Central Senatorial District. So is 109 senators and 360 House of Representatives. So you cannot equate in our opinion as if it's just an opinion. It's an opinion of representation. Of course, if our representation is not adequate, we'll subject ourselves to another election, and then the representative, the people, can decide to vote us out in that regard. So we must make a distinction between when opinion is made by an institution of democracy recognized by law and mere individual opinion. So, and on the issue of
apologies. So let's straighten.
So we need to straighten that issue
because
very
when the
clearly.
Constitution provides the role of the legislative arm, 4, 5, 6, the powers of the executive, powers of the legislature, powers of the judiciary, and the extent, arbitrariness. That's where the issue of separation of powers comes. There is no absoluteness in any of the organs of government. And so for the people to say, these are the cry of Nigerians when people speak,
people?
The representation of Nigerians,
question you say
you don't have absolute
which people?
Powers,
you see, we're not talking about absolute power.
Absoluteness.
I'm talking of issue of individual personal opinion and a collective opinion of a recognized institution of democracy.
But did you feel,
we need to make clear.
Did you hear what Nigerians said about?
You see, you did not do opinion poll. You did not conduct a referendum.
Senator,
if you want us to bring,
you just 109.
If you want to bring, yeah, we're
almost 200 million people.
109 representing. I'm representing about 1 million people. So when I speak, I have a mandate. I have a mandate of the people to talk until June 12, 2023. If that mandate is withdrawn, they cannot speak. So it's not just another individual. I speak on behalf of the constituency. We need to get that right into our contention. Then now talking about issue, you cannot equate. What I'm saying is, you're going to equate individual personal opinion with a decision or a legislative act of a National Assembly.
Why
now going into the issue
Senator,
you are talking about.
Why did the Senate now go back to revisit what you have done in the
first place? Part of our
if you think it was perfect,
our order, yes. Okay, where do you
if you think it was perfect, why did you go?
There's
why did you retrace it?
There's a difference between perfection and whether the opinion is that of opinion of Nigeria. I say continue are the people. Did you conduct opinion poll? You see, problem you have autocratic minority in Nigeria that try to organize their thoughts as if the thought of the majority of the people. In the context of representation, will require you to conduct a referendum, a plebiscite, when you want to actually aggregate an opinion and come with authoritative decision of Nigerian. So what I'm saying is that as a National Assembly, we have the right to reconsider a law, even a law that is made and signed by the president 36 days after an amendment is brought. So we can always recognize our positions. We can only amend our position. It's not because of a shouting minority or individuals who are the elite in the society. We take decisions on behalf of the people who have represented us. And now talking about the issue of electoral transmission.
Thank goodness that you retraced.
And now, no, it's not because of the tracing. You are breaking down the issue. The question you ask is that what informed our decision?
Okay, go ahead, Senator.
What informed our decision?
Tell us about what informed
our initial position was that we are concerned about two things. Issue of possible hacking of by way of automatic transmission. We also concern issue of possible disenfranchisement of the Nigerian people if you want to do automatic transmission. Because service, irrespective whether even we say 98% of areas are serviced by adequate network, the 2% are also part of democratic.
Should even 10 political parties decide to do it on one day, it's going to be a major problem. Did you consider that?
No, let me first say that for the purpose of Nigerians watching us, it's good to spotlight what are the key issues, even in harmonization, so that we don't run into the problem of zoning down on issue of direct primary. One of the areas which has been done in the harmonization committee is to see beyond car reader utilization. Now, the law, section 43, now recognize other technological device that could be used for the purpose of accreditation and identification of voters. Secondly, too, section 43 also allow for other electronic device by way we are making progress, advancing electoral
you make it more generic.
More generic in that regard. Then now on the question of section 87, which is about primary or no direct primary, speaking for myself as Ajibola Basiru, not as Senate spokesperson or as Senate, conceptually, I don't even see why the Electoral Act should provide for any mode of primary at all.
Why?
As far as I'm concerned, a political party is a voluntary organization, and they should be free to determine who fly their ticket. In fact, the classical conception of political party is a group of people who have ideas that they want to put forward and put the best among them to put forward. The best among them may not be most popular, may not be the most resourceful, but the problem we have with introducing statutory provision on so-called internal democracy is even to dilute the idea of classical conception of political party. Now, the Section 87 that was introduced and in the extant law provide for a party choosing between direct or indirect primary. You also know that except in very few instances, like my state, Osun, in 2018, people always have taken it as a matter of rule that you must go by way of indirect primary. And what have we seen with indirect primary? With all self-responsibility, you have seen purchase of delegates, dislocation of delegates for the purpose of getting a victory that is undeserved. And of course, you see heavy politics of money bag, and you also see alienation of the bulk of the member of the party in terms of the democratic process of that particular political party. You also see a situation whereby the acrimony that goes into election of party representative becoming very acrimonious. You see parallel Congress, you see a lot of litigation on the issue of who is in charge of executive, who's not in charge of executive. So there are also very incipient danger in the indirect primary. So it is the mischief of the indirect primary being almost becoming the sole means of determining election that we talk of direct primary. Now, talk of direct primary, I agree with you that there will be logistic requirement. But the question you ask is that democracy itself, and we must face it, is never a cheap endeavor.
But the fact, the argument again is that, thank God that we have lawyers here. The question is that the essence of democracy is the multiplicity of ideas and opinions, and the choices that you have.
There is never a single idea of what democracy is all about. I'm a philosopher.
No, but Senator, the logic and the philosophy around democracy is choice. That you have opportunity to choose.
The ambit of the law. Between the ambit of the law.
So if you don't allow political party to be able to choose the kind they have options, is that not arbitrariness?
You didn't even get my point, Seun. My point is that the law itself, Section 87, is needless in the classical conception of democratic politics. If the logic of your politics are democracy being a matter of choice, why can't political party have their candidate by way of consensus? Why can't they have it by way of
our laws? Why can't that there will be problem?
Why can't they have emergence of candidate by way of caucus? And so on and so forth. So there are different ways by which
candidates the issue of security now. Let me ask, Senator, when are we likely to come to the end of this harmonization?
The harmonization, I can tell you, as at this morning, the exercise is being completed, and even the INEC representative, the chairman, was there at the opening ceremony, and also our partners globally, and it was an open and transparent processes. All the areas have been harmonized, and hopefully the leadership may have to convene the House and the Senate for the purpose of taking that issue, so that we will not have to wait till the November resumption, because for now we are on recess working on the appropriation. But because of the seriousness of the exercise, the recommendation of the Harmonization Committee is to get the leadership to convene an emergency session so that we can...
is it statutory for after harmonization to bring it back to the floor?
We don't have the power to make so we have to come back and adopt that report. And unfortunately, there are no area of controversy. There's no recommitter of any provision. So, and we are confident, going by precedent, that the president will assent to it timeously.
Let me just get a 30 seconds reaction of what is happening. This is an unusual situation, extraordinary situation we are seeing in our elections. Just your view in 30 seconds before we close.
I'm very confident that election in Anambra will hold, and a winner will clearly emerge in a free and fair contest. 2017, a runoff to Anambra election was as hot as this. I think Mr. Okin will tell you. But I know that now that we know the extent of the security challenges, it will be deployed. But just as been said, let our security men be civil, let them not be biased against any political party, so that we can have a free and fair contest where people would freely exercise their franchise.